Hello dear students, welcome to this lecture on media management, and I am Dr. Tripti Barthwal, Director, Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management and Development Studies, Lucknow. Now you can see that there are two terms in the topic which we have in this lecture. The first is media and the other is management. So let us take a look first into what media is. I am sure that you know what media is. You have already gone through the process of communication, how communication takes place, and you know that communication is a two-way process, and when there is a sender on one side and there is a receiver on other side, and the sender has certain ideas, he encodes those ideas into a format so that the receiver can understand them clearly, and then these ideas in an encoded form, they travel through a channel or a media. So, communication always requires a media or a means through which it can move from one end to the other end. So, we are talking about here, this was about interpersonal communication between two people, but when we are talking about in terms of business, then the media has to be such that the communication or message from the side of the company or the organization can easily reach to the audience on the other side. They can be households, men, women, children, working people, or any person, their customers. So, it should reach properly. So, what are the media which is available to the business? So, media, as we said, it refers to a vehicle or a means of message delivery to carry out message to a target audience. Now, business can use the following media to deliver its message to the target customers. So, what can be the various media? The first is print media, the second is broadcast media, the third is outdoor or out of home media, and the fourth is internet, which is quite popular these days. So, print media is the most traditional form of media, most conventional form of media, but it is still relevant and it is still popular today also. So, let us take a brief look into what these types of media mean, and I am sure that you must be aware of them. First is print media, wherein words are written, it is in the written format, and in a print media, the first type of the first type of variant which we have in a print media, that is the newspaper, right, and there are n number of newspapers in India, English, Hindi, regional languages, so which can help business to pass on its message to its target audience. Then you have so many magazines, again in several languages in India, and then we can also use the pamphlets or handbills, etc., to pass on the message to the target audience. So, these can be used. Now, what are the pros and cons, because every media has its own benefits, but it has its own limitations also. So, what is the benefit of having print media? Firstly, it has lot of credibility, because it is a written word, it can be you can go back to it many times. So, people, if wrong information is given in the newspaper or in the magazine, people may sue the publisher, right. So, there are very little chances that something which is carried in a newspaper, some news which is printed in a newspaper, will have certain background with it. The newspaper will not risk itself in printing baseless news. It is generally, and that is why people, when some news is printed in the newspaper, people trust it more instead of something which is available on social media, right. So, whenever you read something on social media, people generally will cross check and verify it from other sources of media. So, credibility is it is a very big virtue of print media. Then, best to target local population, as I said, that it is available in so many different languages, and many are national newspapers and national magazines, but despite that we have several local and regional publications also. So it is very apt media to target the local population of each area. Then it offers though it offers low flexibility, but it is quite flexible in comparison to other media, because here in print media you can have a full page ad, you can have a small ad, you can have a quarter page ad, half page ad. So that amount of flexibility in terms of your budget it can offer to you. Then it has a long life. The print media has a long life, because even papers, newspapers, magazines which were printed several years ago, maybe even 13, 14, 15, 30 years ago, are still available in the archives of the newspaper houses. And also you can also preserve, if you have some piece of news which is very very important to you, you can keep the newspaper or the magazine cutting with you. Or in today's time you have many newspapers and magazines have their e-versions also, so you can download and save it with you. So it has a long life. So it is as good as a piece of evidence. The disadvantages of print media is, firstly, it is expensive. If you want to put an advertisement or a message in a leading newspaper or a magazine, then it is expensive, because that ways it is going to cost you a lot. And then limited reach and frequency. What is reach and frequency? We will be discussing in the next lecture. But as of now, newspaper circulation is limited. It cannot, the way the internet media or other forms of media can reach to customers, here its reach is limited. Then long lead time. The ad is given to the newspaper, then it takes some days to compose the ad, then it is given to the newspaper, then the newspaper, depending on which day the space is available, it will take 2-3 days to print that ad, and then after that it will reach the people, and then it is very difficult to say that what action people have taken after reading that ad. So that ways it has a long lead time. And there is a lot of competition and clutter in the newspaper. You must have seen in the page which is the page where advertisements are printed, there is so much of there is a jungle of advertisements, that if you have got that ad printed, or if you have got a piece of news printed, then you can easily see and find it. But what about others who have nothing to do with your ad? Whether their eyes will reach to it or not, it cannot be said with complete confidence. So this is again a disadvantage of print media. And then there is lack of interaction. In print media, what the reader is thinking, how much he understood the ad, how much he was inclined or how much he was impressed, cannot be said, because you do not meet the reader. Once your ad has gone in the newspaper, you do not know how far it has reached and how people have understood it. Then, of course, one of the biggest limitation of print media is that print media is meant only for literate people who can read, and of course they may not be able to write, but at least they should have the capacity to read. Then the second type of media is the broadcast media. Now, broadcast media refers to those means through which communication or news is delivered to the target audience through videos, audios or written content, right. So, here we are using all three formats. We are using audios, we are using written content also, and we are using videos also. So, of course, television is one of the largest and the majority of the format of print broadcast media would be television. Then of course radio, earlier it was very very popular before television came in, and again for the last 10 years or so radio is regaining its popularity with the launch of lot of FM channels. And then of course the business houses also use movies and films to give their message to the target audience. So it can be like, you know, before a big movie is launched, a star blockbuster is launched, it starts on the screen, you know, small documentary, a small ad of a particular product or a company is displayed, and it when a customer is bound to see the ad because he has paid for watching the movie, or between the break in the during the interval time also certain promotional material from companies pop up, or for that matter, it is used in ways like this. You know, there is this actor who is standing on the road, and there are billboards, signboards on his back, and that they have been also covered as the part of the shooting. So it is actually a paid promotion for those companies, right? So this is how broadcast media is used, and what are the benefits and of the broadcast media? Firstly, it is a powerful audio video medium. So here only words are not being used, written words are not being used. Here there is lot of movement and there is a lot of activity which can be displayed through this medium. Then it has a wide geographic coverage. People who do not subscribe to newspapers or magazines, they also watch television or listen to radio, or they also go for movie viewing. So it can cover a very large portion of the population. Then of course a very big advantage of broadcast media is literacy is not required for this. Even if the person does not recognize a single alphabet or a single word also, then also he can be very comfortable with broadcast media. It is very economical in the sense that, you know, giving ads on television, on radios are expensive, but the kind of geographic coverage you get, the kind of audience reach you get as a result of that, it is per unit cost is reduced to a great extent. Then disadvantages of the broadcast media. First is fragmented audience. In today's time, as I said, there are a lot of FM channels, and even there are the number of channels on televisions have increased. The number of programs people watch on television has increased manifold. So in that case, the audience has been fragmented. There was lot of potential in television when we only used to have Doordarshan, or even after Doordarshan we had only Star Plus, Zee TV and Sony. So there were only 4 or 5 channels. The customer was either in all these five, either of these 5. But now there are so many channels which the customer subscribe to, so it is very difficult to say on which channel he will be available when. So the audience has got fragmented. So as a result of that, what has happened, it is very difficult to say that if you are putting your ad on a particular broadcast medium, whether it is going to the audience or not. So as a result of that, the per unit cost of the ad is also increasing. Then lot of clutter, as I said, that so many channels, and there is the number of products, the number of companies also have increased. So between breaks there are so many ads to be displayed, because even the channel wants to earn in the commercial breaks. It is called a commercial break. So many ads have to be run. So the audience loses interest, and it is difficult for the audience to keep a track on the advertisements. And then all these advertisements, whether it is for the television or for the radio or for the movies, they have high production cost. So initial cost of making these ads is also high and require lot of specialization and lot of technique to make these ads. Then the next type of media is outdoor or out of home media. So when the customer, whatever we were discussing till now, in those cases, in those 2 types, the customer was getting the content from the business at home, right? All content was delivered through a media which was delivering it at his convenience, at his doorstep. Now we are talking about a media which is out of the home of the customer. So, it refers to any means through which message is delivered outside of the home of the customer. It includes, you must have seen these billboards, right, on top of buildings, on highways, and everywhere you must have seen these things. And then you must have seen, earlier we talked about, you know, those handouts or billboards, bills which are delivered to your home, right. We just discussed that about in print media, right. So, you must have seen, you go out and inside your gate, inside your door, there is a pamphlet being put up, or within the newspaper itself there is a pamphlet. Now, here we are talking about, you know, those posters which are being placed on the walls, right, walls or different places. And then there is this another format, which is a mobile or the transit format, very popular these days, on the sides, on the back of the buses, the trains also, and the e-rickshaws, autos, and the taxis. A lot of advertising and promotion is going on. So, these are outdoor or out of home media. And what are the advantages? This is economical and effective, because I mean, not much of effort is being gone in that. You need to design once and then you can put it at multiple places. And it is effective also because the number of people who read this communication, or the number of people to whom this communication reaches, is very high. So, again, per unit cost is low. Then it is the best medium to communicate with moving population. Now, if you place an ad on a train or a communication on the bus, side of the bus or the back of the bus, this bus is going to move, I mean, if it is a local bus, it is going to move in the entire city, or if it is an outstation bus, then it is going to move for 200, 300, 400, depending on what its destination is. And then across that entire route, it is going to carry your message. So, how many people are going to read that message? So many people are going to read that message. So, it is that ways, it is the best medium to communicate with moving population, best to encourage impulse buying. You are going to the market, on the hoarding you see that, on the billboard you see that there is a 50% discount at your favorite retailer, and the discount is going to end tomorrow. So, you forget what you are going for the market, to the market for, and you immediately visit that retailer and you buy certain things. So, you are so attracted with that 50% discount. So, that is impulse buying. So, it is very good to encourage that. Then it has certain, of course, disadvantages also. Firstly, it conveys limited information, right. Suppose if you have put something on a billboard or on a poster, on a bus, you have to have big formats, big font size for it. Because otherwise people from a distance will not be able to understand what is written. Secondly, you use lot of colors and pictures, so that, because if you write too much of content, nothing will be understood by the. So, in order to attract, you have to use very attractive pictures and colors, and as a result of that, it conveys only very limited information. It is a very good method to attract people. Effectiveness cannot be easily measured. Now, you do not know how many people went through that route, who saw that bus or saw that billboard. You only know that this much of traffic moved through this road throughout the day, right. But you do not know how many people actually noticed the billboard, and out of those, how many people actually went through it. You know, when you are standing at a traffic signal, there are so many billboards around, but you are in such a stress of reaching to your office or to your school that you may not read it. Then difficult to concentrate on information. As I said, that you are in the middle of the road, and you know, you have to take care of the traffic and the congestion around also. So, can't say whether you will be able to read it properly, and of course, after reading, will you be able to retain it? Can't be said. Then the last type of the media which business can use, and which is it is using very commonly these days, is the internet. It refers to any means by which message is delivered through the internet. Of course, the name itself is an indicator, And firstly, the website of the organization is a major source of giving information to people. Then the second is very, very popular these days, podcast. It is in the form of audio files which can be downloaded or you can hear them online. It can be in the form of discussion, certain talks, or it can be in the form of a series of episodes. So it is quite I mean, attracting the audience these days. So it is also a very, you can put your advertisement or your message in between a podcast, or you can create your own podcast. Then of course, who can deny the importance of social networks? All these social networks are being used by business houses to convey information regarding their to enhance their image, to develop their brand, or to give information to the customer about their products and services. And then again, a very good format is online forums, wherein people come together and they discuss on certain topics, and they give their comments, and then there are counter comments, etc. So there is a discussion, so you can initiate your own discussion, or you can participate in the discussion which is already going on in the online forum. So what are the advantages of the internet? Of course, the speed. Here you put the message, the second moment it is there for everybody to view. Then it is very interactive. Here you put a like on Facebook, the same second the other person who has put that post will receive your like. So very, very interactive. Then it is a global medium, its reach is not limited, it is unlimited. You can reach from sitting in India to any part of the world, and provides high selectivity. There are filters, and if you are running a paid campaign on social media or any online forum or any format on the internet, you can be highly selective with your audience. If you want only males to see your post, you can have that also. If you want people in a particular age group to see your post, then you can have that only. So if you are having a proper paid media platform, then you can use it to give very detailed information. Pictures can be used, messages can be used, so videos can be used. But internet these days, lot of privacy issues are there, lot of controversies related to how your information is being handled. Then information overload, so much of things are being posted on social media, so person is not able to maintain his attention on a particular thing, and there is a lot of information overload. Lack of physical contact, you don't see anyone, you don't meet anyone, only the messages are being passed on. Now what are the things you should take care of selecting the media? First is the nature of product you want to advertise. If it is a consumer product, then you have to go for the mainstream media, but if it is an industrial product, then you can go for trade journals or trade related magazines. Then nature of customers, what are your customers, whether you want to cater to the mass market, whether they are literate or not, their age, their level of education, the number of customers. If the number of customers is high, then you can go for an expensive media also, because in that case per unit cost will be low. Then the distribution of product, if the product is widely available in the villages also, in the interiors also, then you have to see that how you have to communicate about your product to people in the interiors of the country. Then the budget which is available to you, and whether the slot which you want is available in that particular media platform, and what is the image of that media. If a channel on TV is not popular with the audience, it has a controversial image, then there is no point in advertising through it. And then I'll wind up with a small case study on Microsoft, how they are using the media for communication. One of Microsoft's, what Microsoft is, I don't have to tell you. So one of Microsoft's engineers print advertising campaigns for Microsoft Office 365 software included the Wi-Fi enabled promotion on the Forbes magazine. You can see the picture here and you can very well understand what it meant. Currently Microsoft is undertaking a slow shift from traditional media to social media and other online platforms. So this was a Wi-Fi enabled promotion, and the customer can take out this gadget and they can use a trial version for certain days. It was freely available to the customer. To promote its artificial intelligence offerings, Microsoft teamed up with Carlsberg to use AI to speed up the process of brewing new flavors of their beer. So Carlsberg is one of the biggest, largest producers of beer in the world, and it produces one of the most finest beers. It is a Danish company based in Copenhagen, Denmark. So they tied up with them. The company has marketed this project using the integrated marketing approach, using a multitude of media channels. And one way by which they have gone for it is that they have used posted it on Twitter. Then they have also used the Facebook and YouTube for video promotions, and then they have also given press releases in popular newspapers such as Financial Times, to make the customers aware of their tie-up and how this is going to, AI in beer brewing is going to improve the product, and how it is a breakthrough, right. So this is how Microsoft is using different media channels. You can see almost as I said, that they are moving from conventional channels to now they are moving to the most contemporary. So you can see that they have almost used all the online channels which are available, so that the message reaches to the target customer. So I hope now you have understood what are the various media available to a business, and how business can take up the advantages of these channels, and how it can make the best of these channels to transmit the message to the customers. Thank you so much.